Good morning,
Good morning.
dear devotees and friends, and we were Swamijis. This is a special Sunday. Every Sunday we meet, but this is a special Sunday. You know that the whole week, last week, we started with the 14th, Monday. We all went to the Parliament of Religion, which held in the Macaulay Place. And after the inauguration, on 15th, we went to Ganges with our visiting Swamijis, Swami Balabhadranandaji, who came from India. He gave a wonderful talk over there on the contribution of Vivekananda in the Indian freedom movement. That's because it was 15th August. And then afterwards, on 18th, we had a standout program of our own in the Parliament. It was really attended by almost 300 people, and it was really unexpected. It went off very well. And yesterday morning, from 11 to 1, we had a program in the Home of Harmony, and we celebrated 1 year of the Home of Harmony. So it is all completed. The report is here. And then evening, we came to the Hindu temple, and we discussed about the avatar, yada yada hi dharmasya. And we have discussed about Sri Ramachandra, Sri Krishna, but we just touched the points of Sri Ramakrishna, the modern and very recent avatar. And today we will be discussing about Sri Ramakrishna. Among us is Swami Tyaganandaji Maharaj, who will be speaking the Sri Ramakrishna's gift to the world. And then the Swami Kripamayanandaji, he will be speaking Sri Ramakrishna, the great mystic. I'll be touching 2 points. That is, Swami Sarvapriya was supposed to talk on the unique storytelling. He could be a very good storyteller and presenting, but anyway, I will try to, and that I am giving another on his behalf, so you have to adjust with that. And also that another, that is Sri Ramakrishna, a divine singer. So these are the 4 or 5 topics we'll be discussing, and welcome you all over here. And let us begin with a prayer to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Please repeat after me. Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma swarupine avatar varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. We bow down to that great personality, Sri Ramakrishna, the greatest manifestation of the God, and whose purpose was to give us light, to take the human mind to the one unity through different paths. He himself was the Parliament of Religion. That is a unique personality about him. I will first request Swami Tyaganandaji, who is the head of the Vedanta Society of Boston, to give a talk on the gift to the world. His timing will be 20 minutes and 10 minutes question answer.
Asato ma satkamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya, avirāvirmahedhi, rudrayatte dakshinam mukham, enamam pahi nityam. May the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the Divine consciousness fill our hearts and protect us. So as Swami Ishatmananda said, we opportunity to speak about Rama, Krishna and about avatarhood yesterday at the Hindu temple. And so today we get an opportunity to reflect on the life and the various facets of the life of Sri Ramakrishna. There is an incident in the Kathamrita, in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, where there's Girish, Rakhal and the usual characters which appear in the Gospel again and again are present. And Sri Ramakrishna invites Narendra and Girish to argue or debate the point about avatar. And Sri Ramakrishna liked to encourage these kind of discussions. And in the Gospel, we do read about the different points that come up. Because Girish Chandra Ghosh strongly believed in the avatar, and Narendra, the future Vivekananda, is a young firebrand young man who's influenced by Western philosophers, was skeptical about the idea that the infinite being can come in the form of a human being. And so a lot of ideas do come up, and there is no really final conclusion about it. Sri Ramakrishna would sometimes support what Girish is saying, sometimes he would support what Narendra is saying. The idea of the avatar is fascinating and also can be quite puzzling. It might seem as if the two verses in the Gita, which are often quoted, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. It's very clear enough that whenever dharma declines, whenever adharma increases, we find an extraordinary manifestation of the divine that comes down to restore dharma. Up to this point kind of makes sense. But then the next verse, which says, in order to protect the good and to destroy the evil, destroy the demons, I come for the establishment of dharma, dharma samsthapanarthaya. Now that's interesting because in the case of Rama and Krishna, we do see that they did kill a lot of rakshasas and demons. And clearly many of the devotees and saints were benefited by the absence of those villainous characters. But then when we come to more recent avatars, we don't see them killing anybody. There are no demons to be killed, and of course then we resort to interpretation and saying they destroyed the demons of the jealousy and violence and anger and so on. And then of course, what the samstha is what kind of dharma gets established? Again, it's quite puzzling to understand what that term means, because normally in the Hindu mythology, when we read about the four yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga, the images that are presented is that in the time of Satya Yuga, everything was perfect. And then things kind of got a little diluted, a little bit of adharma came in, and that's the next Treta Yuga. then it still got worsened a little bit, and then it became Dwapara, and Kali Yuga now is said to be like the bottommost, the bottommost of the barrel, and things are not as great as they were in the earlier yugas. Now, if that chronology is to be believed and it's right, then we see that when Krishna passed away, we read in the books that from Dwapara, Kali Yuga started with the death of Krishna. Now, Kali Yuga is still a step down. So, what did Dharma Samsthapanam that Krishna did? Now, all this is to say that there is a lot to reflect on some of these terms that occur in the Gita. One helpful way to understand, because we have to then apply that same yardstick when we try to see the life of Sri Ramakrishna as well. What kind of Dharma Samsthapanam that Sri Ramakrishna did? What kind of demons did he kill? What does it mean to say that Dharma was restored as a result of Sri Ramakrishna's advent? These are the points of reflection that today devotees and students of Sri Ramakrishna's life can do. It might be helpful to then think that an avatar or an extraordinary manifestation of the divine that occurs periodically every few centuries, it's possible to see that an avatar comes to give us certain gifts, certain things that we receive, and that is the special gift that an avatar gives, and that could be seen as the main purpose of the advent of the avatar. And that's why today's title of my little talk here would be Sri Ramakrishna's gifts. What are the gifts that Sri Ramakrishna gave to all of us? Now, I don't have any definitive answer. I'm sure that every one of us here can make an independent study of Sri Ramakrishna's life, and we might come to some different answers, and which is good. There is no one perfect answer to this. But one possible answer that comes to my mind is that it's possible to look upon Sri Ramakrishna's gifts as primarily three. The first is Sri Ramakrishna's form. Every time an avatar comes, a new form, a new divine form is gifted to us. That doesn't negate the earlier forms. Still continue to meditate on the form of Krishna, Rama, Buddha, Jesus. All of these different forms are valid. But now we have another form to meditate on, to reflect on, and that is the form of Sri Ramakrishna. In the verse that Swami Vivekananda composed, which we sing in the evening, the part of our Vespers, Shnantam Shivam Suvimalam. He referring to the Sri Ramakrishna's name, he says, is Shantam Suvimalam. It's a name that fills the heart with peace. It's the name that is auspicious. It's the name that transforms sinfulness into purity. The power of God's name is clear, but the form as well. Sometimes and oftentimes, those who meditate on Sri Ramakrishna, we are asked to meditate on the form of Sri Ramakrishna inside our heart. We know that meditating on a divine form has a very different impression on us than meditating on all of these worldly forms, the perishable forms that we encounter throughout the day. Now, Sri Ramakrishna's form, one other interesting point about this is that about the forms of the earlier avatars, we have to depend largely on the artist's conception of how Krishna looked, how Rama looked. And also, of course, there are these meditation verses called the Dhyana Shlokas, which were the visions of Krishna, Rama, and these other previous avatars that these great things had, and then they described these different hymns and songs and verses, and they provide some clue meditating on Krishna, Rama, Shiva, and others. Now, in the case of Ramakrishna, of course, I don't think any of us here are present who were present at the time of Ramakrishna. And so we do depend on the descriptions of him. But in addition to the descriptions that we have, one extra advantage that we have is we have Sri Ramakrishna's photograph now available. So that makes it a little bit easier for us to visualize how Sri Ramakrishna looked at that time. The important thing and a tricky thing is that when we try to visualize Sri Ramakrishna in the heart, we should not visualize a photograph. We should not visualize a murti. We have to visualize a living Ramakrishna as he was in Dakshineshwar. A photograph can be helpful, but we don't want to realize the photograph. We want to realize Ramakrishna, right? It's a little bit like looking at a picture of a mango, we are reminded of the real mango. But if you want to eat a mango, you need a real mango, can't eat a photograph of the mango. So therefore, a picture of Sri Ramakrishna is very helpful, but when we meditate, we have to imagine ourselves sitting there in that room of Dakshineshwar and being there face to face with the living, smiling, effulgent form of Ramakrishna. And those who have done it have found that their heart is truly filled with peace, joy, and bliss. It's a completely transformative experience. So one of the greatest gifts that Ramakrishna gave to us all is his divine form. The second gift, as some of you might have guessed, is his name. And I already referred to what Swami Vivekananda said, a name that fills the heart with peace, a name that is auspicious. The power of the divine name is emphasized in all of our ancient texts. In fact, sometimes they say that God's name is even more powerful than God. And there are several stories in that. From the life of Krishna, we see that Satyabhama, Krishna's wife, she tried to balance Krishna with gold and ornament, and she couldn't. And then Rukmini goes, she just puts a tulsi leaf with Krishna's name on it, and that balanced Krishna, showing the power of God's name. In the Ramayana, we see that Hanuman simply had to say, Jai Shri Ram, and he could leap across the ocean. Rama himself had to build a bridge. So some of these incidents are mentioned. One of our Swamis told a very interesting story about the power of Rama's name. I don't think it comes in any Ramayana, but it's a kind of an oral tradition. And the story is this, that when the bridge was being built across to Sri Lanka, and some of you might have seen the TV versions of it or read about it in the books, all these, the Vanar Sena, all the monkeys were lifting these huge rocks and just uttering Rama's name, say, Jai Shri Ram, they're putting it on and defying all the laws of physics, these huge rocks floated on water. And this was unbelievable. When Rama was stunned, he's like, what? How is this happening? And that's how the bridge got built. Now, Rama couldn't really believe that stones could float on water, and such was the power of his own name. And he was feeling a little bit shy to try it out before others. So he just goes to a kind of a remote part of that beach, far away from everyone, takes a little stone in his own hand. So this is Rama taking stone in his own hand and just saying, Jai Shri Ram, and he puts the stone. And the stone sinks, doesn't float. And Rama feels so bad. He said, these monkeys, these Vanaras have greater faith in my name than I myself. And their faith is making the stones float, while the stone has sunk. At least Rama had some consolation. Nobody had seen this disaster happening. Not quite. Just like these, the security that often accompanies these VIPs, Hanuman was there behind, who had seen all of that. Hanuman, we read, is a buddhimatam varishtaha. He is in buddhi, he is the wisest among the people who are there. And so Rama felt very embarrassed that Hanuman had seen the disaster. And so Rama tells Hanuman, oh, look at this, I feel so bad that these monkeys, they have so much faith in my name, and I don't seem to have that faith in my own name, and the stone did not float. And what did Hanuman tell him? Hanuman said, no. He said, that is how it was meant to be. It's important. As long as the stone was in your hand, it was safe. No sooner it left your hand, what could it do but sink? And then Rama felt a little good about it. But that's important. As long as we are in contact with the divine, as long as we are in touch with the hand of the divine, we are safe. No sooner we let go of that hand, we will sink. Now, what helps the devotees and students of Sri Ramakrishna's life? What helps us to remain in contact, in touch with Sri Ramakrishna is his name and his form. When somebody asked Holy Mother, is Sri Ramakrishna really present in the picture? I mean, we all pray, we all meditate, we do worship in the picture, but is it just our faith? Is it just our belief? Or is he really present? And what Mother said is important. Mother says he is really present. She says, Chaya Kaya Saman. The picture, the person and the shadow, they cannot be separated. And so she said, if, and this is important, if she says, if we stand before the picture of Sri Ramakrishna and pray with faith and sincerity, day after day, with regularity, with Shraddha in the heart, he manifests in a special way through that picture. And that is something that many of us would have noticed. Within whatever little shrine we might have at home, or when you come to a temple, we feel somehow different. The atmosphere inside a temple, inside a shrine, is very different than when you go to Wall Street or you go to a mall. What makes that difference? The reason is that when we go to a temple, every one of us, to a lesser or greater degree, we are making an effort to think of the divine. We are making an effort to not bring any other material thoughts in our mind. Now, thinking is not just something abstract. Thoughts have a presence. So in a place where people sit, pray, meditate together, the atmosphere is filled with those thoughts. And that is why when we sometimes, even if we go with a troubled mind to a temple, we feel the benefit of the thoughts that are present there, left behind by devotees who have come there before. And therefore, when we go to a temple and pray and meditate, we are not only benefiting our own selves, but we are also benefiting the people who might come after us. On the other hand, when we go to a place of worship and instead of praying, instead of meditating, we just have this worldly secular talk there, we are vitiating that atmosphere. We are not getting any benefit, and we are also hurting the people who might come after us. That is as much true about the temple as in our own little family shrine. It may not be possible for us to go to a temple every day, but if we can transform our own little shrine in our own little room and pray there with faith, with sincerity, recognizing that Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Swamiji are actually present there, our own little corner of our room, our own shrine at home can become a temple in itself. And that is what will give us that benefit of spiritual growth. And finally, the third gift that Sri Ramakrishna gave was what we say is the Leela. If sometimes people may find it difficult to meditate on a still form of Sri Ramakrishna in the heart, we have the benefit of thinking about the different incidents from his life and being inspired by it. In fact, the Gospel of Ramakrishna, the Kathamrita itself, is a result of that kind of a meditation on the Leela, meditation on the incidents of Ramakrishna's life. That's how Kathamrita came about. And so that itself becomes a meditation. And one helpful way to do that is when we read the Kathamrita, when we read the Gospel, rather than thinking that this is a book of what Ramakrishna said more than 100 years ago to those people, then it becomes simply a historical document. But do we have a way of transplanting ourselves? So for instance now, when we read in the Kathamrita, in the Gospel, that Sri Ramakrishna is sitting there on the bed and there is Rakhal, Narendra, Paltu, Bhavanath, they are all sitting there in the room. Silently, maybe you can add your own name there and say, I'm sitting in that room as well. So what this does is that rather than thinking that that is what Sri Ramakrishna said 100 years ago to those people, now we feel this is what Sri Ramakrishna is telling me. Some of you might have gone to Italy and visited some of these old churches years ago, and one thing that I was struck by is the guide who was showing me around. He was pointing to the different huge paintings in these very old churches, and many of those paintings which were commissioned by some wealthy people of those days. So there were different incidents from the life of Jesus. And the guide then would sometimes point out to suppose there is Jesus walking on the street and there are people lined up there, he would mention the certain characters that were painted, and then he would show some place in the corner and say, that particular person there is actually the donor who paid for that painting. And maybe sometime the artist would have some self-portrait of his own somewhere in that painting. So the idea is, now that event with Jesus, which occurred 2000 years ago, what these artists were doing, at least conceptually, at least visually, at least in this painting, be present there somehow. That when that happened, I was somehow present. Now we can do that too. So reading a book like that with the Gospel, think that Sri Ramakrishna now are saying those words to me. Not saying it to Narendra, not saying it to Rakhal, he's directly addressing me. You will see the book will read and sound and feel very differently if I make it very personal. Now, one point and I'm done, I'm finished, is that not everything in Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel has to be relevant to everyone all the time. It's not, because we know that in the several different people from different walks of life, of different age groups, visited Ramakrishna at different times, and he spoke with them. The needs and the requirements of those people were different. So I cannot now sit and read the Kathamrita and think every word is relevant to me right now. No, it doesn't have to be that way. So it's possible that some of the things of words of Sri Ramakrishna would go straight to the heart and say, yes, this is what applies to me, this is what helps me, this is very relevant to me right now. And some of the things we might find, yeah, they are very good, but right now they are not so relevant to me. Now, something that may not be relevant to me now doesn't mean that it won't be relevant to me 5 years afterwards or 10 years afterwards. So we must read the entire book with faith, with devotion, but be specially mindful of the things you feel in my present situation, in the present circumstances of my life. This is what Sri Ramakrishna is saying, or Holy Mother is saying, or Swamiji is saying. This is something that can help me. And it's not just about intellectual clarity about his teachings. If something has the ring of truth, then I must say, how can I put it into practice? Because only, as Swami Vivekananda used to say, that an ounce of practice is worth tons of theory. So yes, read a lot of books, listen to a lot of lectures, but ultimately what will change us is what we do, how we live. So even if we can take 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever number of ideas and make that something that we can practice in daily life, then we will be able to see the true benefits of living a spiritual life. So that was really what I want to share with you this morning. Among the gifts these divine personages give to us, one way of looking at the divine name, the divine form, and the divine leela, the incidents from their life. If we make an independent study of his life, we might come to different answers. But that's important. Do it yourself. Don't just repeat what someone else has said. Make your own independent study. Come up with something original. See that it's truly beneficial. Live up to it. And then we will see. That is what makes Sri Ramakrishna happy. I believe that when we live according to their teachings and truly transform our life, that would be a way not only we make ourselves happy, we will make Sri Ramakrishna happy as well. So my prayers to Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Swami Brahmanandaji, Sri Buddha Dev, and Sri Jesus Christ, and all of the other personages who are not presented here, through all the blessings of the prophets of the past, of the present, and the future, may our lives truly be blessed in every way. Oh, question.
Any question? So if there are any questions, you can ask. There is a mic here. Please come to the mic. Okay.
No.
Here. Come to the mic.
When we come to avatar, we normally talk about birth is due to ignorance. Conversely, when ignorance leads to birth, any birth should be based on ignorance. How do we explain the avatar, even though there is Shuddha Sattva, there is still a component of ignorance there? Is there, or am I misunderstanding?
Yes, good question. The Shankaracharya deals with this, explaining the phenomenon of avatar in his introduction to the Gita. He says, Jatavan iva, Dehavan iva. That is, when we take birth, that is as a result of karma. There is ignorance involved. But in the case of avatar, he uses the word as if takes a human birth, as if takes a body. So it's not exactly same in the way that we do. Although, if we want to kind of, it's a little bit like this. Sometimes when we see an enlightened being around us, a question that can come is this a human being who has elevated himself or herself to that stage, or is it the divine being who has come down at that level? And so an avatar is at that threshold where humanity and divinity merge. Swami Vivekananda actually describes it by saying that even in the fields of botany and zoology, the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom, if you go to some microorganisms, a point is reached where it's not easy to determine whether that microorganism belongs to the plant world or to the animal world. So that's where an avatar is there, and which is why sometimes the avatar shows the characteristic of a human being, and sometimes they show the divine being. In the Christian tradition, they all refer to Jesus also as the Son of Man. So this kind of an interplay between the divine and the human is the characteristic of an avatar. So it's really impossible to give a definitive, to say anything definitively about the avatar.
So Swami, for Ram and Krishna as an avatar, we see that while they were in human form, there were certain times in life when they realized that they were an incarnation of the divine. With Ramakrishna, when did he actually realize that he was, divine manifested?
In Sri Ramakrishna's case, one incident that is often referred to is the Kalpataru event, when it is said that he publicly cast aside his appearance as a human being and showed the enormous power he had. Yeah. Again, I think historically Sri Ramakrishna is so much closer to us. If you kind of look at Ramakrishna's life after a 500 or 1,000 years, it may not be very different from the life of Krishna and Rama, I think. Yeah.
So thank you for a wonderful presentation. You liked it, right? So that is why there is no question, because we are satisfied. And may I request you, if you like, you can come in the front. Those who are sitting or squatting over there, you can come in the front. So you can see clearly, come in this side. So now that this the Sri Ramakrishna, he gave us, as Swami Ishatmananda ji very nicely said, has presented, and it's so simple. That is the main thing, so simple. There is no, and completely clear. And sometimes what happens, if you say a simple thing that you do it, but you don't like to, you have to go and stand in the very chill, cold water, and then right hand raised, and then only you will realize God. People like to, they won't do, but they like it. So that is the way it goes. But if you simply say, no, why not? Just call on him, as Sri Ramakrishna said. How to realize God? Can you cry? Someone asked him, how to realize God? His simple answer was, can you cry? As a child cries for his mother, can you cry like that? That's all. You need not to utter mantra, you need not do anything. So that simple way he always goes. Then Sri Ramakrishna used to tell all these things through stories. And how to live in the world. So he said a beautiful story. Many of you know. And there are some books also, the story books. He said the story of a brahmachari and a snake. How many of you know that? Brahmachari. Oh, well, many. Oh. See, we Chicagoans, Chicago devotees have to study a little more. because the devotees from Canada, they are raising all hands, and Chicago, no. So I will start a class about that. So the one brahmachari was passing, and then the other people said, "Sir, you should not go over there. There is a snake and very dangerous." Brahmachari told, "Don't worry about me. I know a mantra as a secret process to tame that." He went, and the snake truly came. And he said, "Hey, why you are doing like this and making all people terrified?" Then the snake told, "What shall I do? Because otherwise they will come and beat me." So, no, you must lower down your anger and enmity and take this mantra. Go on repeating the mantra. So he went on repeating that. After 1 year or so, when the brahmachari was returning, he came to that place, and he was inquiring about the snake. Then the boys who used to be there, the cowherd boys, they said, "Oh, no, he is dead. The snake is dead." No, it cannot be. I gave the mantra. It must be completely performed. So he was calling. Then the snake slowly came out. He said, "What happened to you?" "Oh, no, see, these boys, they don't know that I have given up all the anger and I have become so docile. So they started playing with me. They'll be throwing me here and there like a rope, and I have broken all my bones. I can't move." Then that brahmachari said, "I told you not to bite, but have I said you not to do hissing? So you must make people afraid. Hey, I am here. Don't think that I cannot. But at just moment, I am not doing." So to live in the world, you have to be. See the practical way Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna teaches. We the monks, we always say, okay, everything is all right. But as a householder, you cannot do that. You have to be strong. You are not making any harm to others, but you should protect yourself. So that is the teaching of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. So he said the hissing is necessary. And in the beautiful way, he used to tell the people that if you are egoistic, the God won't take your responsibility. If you don't have the ego, God will accept you. And he said another story. And whenever he will say something, immediately he will say some story so that people will remember that story. Here he said that Brahmin, he was a very good, he could develop flowers and the other things. So he made a beautiful garden. And whoever used to visit, he used to say, "I did it, I did it, I did it. Oh, these red flowers, I planted. Oh, that yellow, I did it." So every time, I. And suddenly one day, a stray cow, it came over there, and cow don't, of course it must be appreciating the red flower, changing the taste than the grasses. So it was started eating. This Brahmana became very angry and bit the cow in such a way it died. And you know that the killing of a cow is a great sin for us. So the sin came to the Brahmana. "Sir, I have to enter into you because you committed the sin." Brahmana told, "Oh, no. See, Brahmana, he knew the scripture. You read everything. So immediately he utilized that. He said, "My hands are under the command of the Indra, Devraj Indra. So it is not me. My hand took a stick and bait and the cow died. It is Indra only. I didn't do anything." So the scene went to the Indra. Indra told, "What? I didn't do anything." "Well, no, but the Brahmana said, that you raised his hand and then, is that? Okay, let me go and let me give a try, and then afterwards I will accept." So Indra came down in a form of a Brahman again, and he was praising, "Oh my God, it is much, much better than the Indra's garden. Who did it?" Brahmana came running, I did it. Then he went on saying, "Oh, this one you did, this one you did. I did. Then they reached to that place where the dead cow was lying. "Oh my God, who killed the cow?" Then he was hesitating. Then Indra came to his form and said, "You wretched one, everything is yours, and when you did a mistake, it is me." No. If you have to depend on God, you have to depend on God completely. So Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said that completely depend on God like a kitten. The kitten doesn't mind if the mother cat taking the kitten on a very nice, clean place, maybe the bed of the owner of the house. The kitten will be lying on that. And if the mother cat finds that the owner is coming, and immediately it will take the kitten and go to a dirty place and leave the kitten, kitten is happy. There's no problem for the kitten. So you have to be like that. And beautifully he was telling, Who can see God? Faith, faith, faith. So tremendous faith is necessary. Only through the faith you can. There was a little boy, and he was admitted in a school a little far away from their home. In between there was a jungle. The little boy was very much afraid, and he asked the mother, "You have to accompany me to cross that jungle." The mother was busy. She was a very poor lady. She has to go to different houses to take care of different things to earn money. And what to do? She was having no one. So she said, "See, my child, you have an elder brother over there in the jungle. He lives over there. You can go and ask Madhusudhan Dada. If you call, the Madhusudhan Dada will come and he will guide you." The boy believed the words of the mother, because mother said, so he believed it. And he went, he was passing through the jungle, and he was afraid. He started crying, believing the words of the mother, "Madhusudhan Dada, Madhusudhan Dada." And truly Krishna appeared before him. And he said, "Hey, are you sure? I am your elder brother. No problem, I will help you." So they crossed that jungle. It went on. Then one day the teacher's mother passed away. So there was a Shraddha ceremony. Usually the students is supposed to give something. Otherwise the poor teacher, how he can organize that? So he said, everyone should bring something. The boy came back and he asked the mother, "What can I carry?" Mother was in difficulty what to give. And she said, "Why don't you ask your Madhusudhan Dada? Because this boy will be constantly telling the mother the story of the Madhusudhan Dada, how Madhusudhan Dada fed him with sweet fruits and gave him this, gave him that. Why don't you ask your Madhusudhan Dada?" He went to the jungle and said, "Madhusudhan Dada, I need something to give it to my teacher." Madhusudhan Dada gave a little, hardly a little, and he carried that small little container. And the teacher saw it. So many people, this much only. What I am going to do with this? But anyway, he became angry and he put the whole thing on one plate. My God, it was full again. Again he did all the plates, each and every one. They tasted it and it was so tasty, everybody was so happy. Then the teacher told, "You are a really wonderful boy. Where from you got it? It's a miraculous thing." He said, "Madhusudhan Dada gave me." "Can you please show me that Madhusudhan Dada?" "Why not? I will call him, he will come. I will introduce you. Come." So the teacher also accompanied him. Then the boy was calling, "Madhusudhan Dada, come." No one came. He started crying. "Madhusudhan Dada, if you don't come, my teacher will think I am a liar. Please come." Then there was no one but a voice. It said, "You are holy because your mind is completely clean and you believe me, but your teacher, no. He is doubting." So when someone is doubting about my existence, I cannot appear before. So, but the teacher will hear my voice because of you. The teacher started crying and the boy was wondering then how this happened. Sri Ramakrishna said that if you have complete faith on the existence of God, God will truly come. God can talk to God, but we don't have the faith. He gave another story, but should not take all the time. So we have to have faith. Long before, I was in Andaman in 90s, and the Calcutta High Court judges used to visit over there. And one of the High Court judges told Swamiji, everything is all right in religion, but the thing is, you will ask us to believe. That is the difficult thing. Why should I believe? If I don't see, if I don't experience, then why should I believe? High Court judges have the power that any place, wherever they are present, they can declare that as a court and give the judgment, So very difficult. So I should see. I am not going to argue with you because what you will do. But the thing is, I just like to know from you, when you are flying from Calcutta, did you check all the certificates of the person who was supposed to be flying the aircraft? You didn't. You believed. The lady inside the craft who was giving you the water, the tea, any tester was there? No. You simply believed. You drank that, ate that. And the gentleman who is standing over there with the gun, you believe him that he is not going to kill you, he is going to protect you. Believing all through your life, each and every one of us, we believe. But when in the question of God comes, immediately we become scientists. That is the problem. This you have to believe. Why? Look at the life of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Look at the life of all those, the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Look at the life of Jesus. Look at the life of Buddha. And all those great leaders of the spirituality. Excellent life. And what they say, love, love, love. And why don't you believe it? There is God. God can be seen if we can become like that young boy who believed the words of his mother, and we pray sincerely, all alone, not showing others, secretly in a different place where no one is there, and cry for God. Thank you. Now, this is the storytelling of the Sarvapriya. I completed, and we all pray that he should recover from all the little physical problem that has come, not very serious, a little, and he will be, and then we will invite him and give him a standout program for Sarvapriya. So this, now I will be inviting the Swami Kripamayananda ji, and he will be angry with me, but you know, of all the 80 brahmacharis that were there in the Belur Math in a training center, and we were together 2 years, he was the only person who used to get up every day early morning and every day attending the prayer, and most of the time me used to give some, God is here, God is there, God is everywhere. So why should I have to go to temple in this cold weather? So, but that is, he really is a blessed soul. I love him very much, and I have a great respect and appreciation for him. And please come, and he will be giving us an idea. Sri Ramakrishna, a great mystic. Swami Kripamayananda ji. The time 20 minutes, and question answer.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishnaya. Friends, it's so wonderful to meet you again. Don't pay heed to what Swami Ishatmananda told at the end. It was just a praise and his love for a friend, nothing more than that. But what Ishatmananda told about having faith in God, having simplicity, and trying to protect yourself, those are all the beautiful stories that he told. And wonderful talk of Swami Tyaganandaji about 3 great gifts of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was a great mystic. That's what the topic of my discussion today. And you know the mystic. Mystic is the one who through contemplation and surrender, he gets absorbed in the absolute or the reality beyond the perception of the senses, who transcends the understanding of the senses and the intellect and reaches the absolute, the transcendental reality, the ultimate reality, what is called God realized persons. There are many God-realized persons, many mystics. We know Brother Lawrence of Assisi. We know Saint Francis of Assisi, Brother Lawrence, the great devotee of Jesus. Meister Eckhart, of not very far away time, he was also a mystic. The poet Rumi, he was a mystic. Kabir Das was a mystic. They all had the realization of God, all incarnations of gods, prophets, and great teachers are mystics because they have gone beyond the sense world to the absolute world of absolute reality. So, about Sri Ramakrishna, he was a great mystic. On that aspect we are seeing. Sri Ramakrishna we consider as Avatara. Swami Vivekananda said him to be the greatest of the Avatara, Avatara Varishtha. He just wanted to say he came to the time when people had started losing faith in dharma, in religion, in spirituality, in God himself, and he had to revive that faith in human hearts that God is real, God can be realized, God is the ultimate. That faith he stored in the hearts of human beings at the time of doubt, through that developed through the scientific, technological, psychological, or materialistic progress that came, and that time to come with that power, great power that he came. That's why Swami Vivekananda said him to be Avatara Varishtha, the superior most among the Avatara. He was not classifying the Avatara, one is superior, one inferior, but he was saying the Avatara, the same Avatara who came as Krishna, who came as Rama, who came as Jesus, who came as Buddha, came as Sri Ramakrishna, and this time he brought the greatest powers because the challenge was very huge, challenge was there. So that was the reason he said. That aspect is there. But about the mystic aspect of Sri Ramakrishna, you know that Sri Ramakrishna, when he was very child, he was just 6 or 7 years old, he was walking through the paddy field. And just this scenery happened, the dark cloud, rain cloud came, and across the rain cloud, a flock of cranes, white cranes that just flew. It was such a beautiful sight. The combination of this dark, somber cloud and pure white cranes. And he fell unconscious. He fell to the ground. What he saw, that experience was not fainting, it was going to the superconscious state, it was going to the mystic state of experience. He experienced the beauty of God in this earthly beauty of cloud and the crane. He could feel that, and he was absorbed in the superconscious state at the age of 6 or 7. When he was asked to study in the local school of his village, Kamarpukur, he said, I don't want to study this just bread-winning education. You earn, then you become priest, earn some money, make your livelihood. Really, the study, the knowledge should be to make us free. Sa vidya ya vimuktaye. Ya vidya sa vimuktaye. That is the real knowledge which frees us, which gives us freedom. Other than that, every knowledge just for earning sake is not the true knowledge. I want the highest knowledge. Ya vidya sa vimuktaye. So that is the real knowledge I need. He said when he was just a child, like that. Then after that, when he became youth, he was taken to Kolkata. His elder brother Ram Kumar thought he should learn something just to survive in the world. Otherwise, what he will do? And then by chance, it happened the temple was built of Divine Mother Kali. Gorgeous, most beautiful temple of that time was built in Kolkata at the village called Dakshineshwar, and the temple is called Bhavatarini Temple, Mother Kali, the presiding deity, the Divine Mother of Kolkata, city of Kolkata. And there, Ram Kumar was the priest, and Sri Ramakrishna was given the duty of decorating the mother and then worshipping other deities in the temple. Later on, when Ram Kumar died, the duty of worshipping the Divine Mother in beautiful image fell on Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna started worshipping the deity. Sri Ramakrishna, the mystic as he was, He was worshipping, offering fruits, showing the light, whatever the ritual was there. Then question came to him, am I worshipping just a stone image of the Divine Mother, or is Mother, the divinity, really present there? This is the question of all mystics throughout the world. Is God real? Is God realizable? Is God attainable? That question when comes, then one tries to become the mystic. And that question came to Sri Ramakrishna. Is God real? Am I worshipping real God, or is just decoration of the image made of stone and offering some fruit because of some rituals? With this question and not finding the answer, God not revealing, was too much to this great mystic. And one day he was just meditating like that. Life became unbearable to Sri Ramakrishna. Without God, how can I live? Life is worthless to live without realizing God. That question came to Sri Ramakrishna's mind, and Sri Ramakrishna wanted to give up his life in the temple. If you do not reveal to me, life is worthless. I want to give up this life here and now. At that time, he just fell down on the ground, and he describes later on, then I saw an ocean of light with huge waves coming towards me. Finally the waves drowned me. I was under the waves, and after that I do not know what happened, but I was immersed in the bliss. And how long I was in that state, I don't know. And when he came back, the word was there, Mother, Mother. He was just speaking Mother. It was the realization of God in a very mystic way. Whether he saw the form of the Divine Mother in illumined form with 4 arms and her graceful form or not, it is not described. But definitely he had the vision, mystic vision of the Divine, of God in that ocean of light. That was Sri Ramakrishna's mysticism. That turned into God realization. After that, Mother became a part of his life. He was never separated from the Divine Mother. And slowly Divine Mother took charge of her child and then started guiding him to practice spiritual disciplines through other means. All different kinds of spiritual practices, as we're told in the Vaishnava Tantras, was practiced by him, as told in the taking the Rama as the duty, that was told through Ram Lala. As she became like Radha to please Krishna and to realize Krishna. Like that, it was all happening one after another. The success was coming, and finally he realized God through all the means. And then it was Advaita. One day, one teacher comes to him and said, "Do you want to study Vedanta?" He said, "I don't know. I have to ask Mother." Then the teacher, who was a realized soul, Totapuri was his name, he saw that this grown-up man has to ask his mother to realize. His face shines like a knower of God. His so much potentiality is there in him to understand the truths of Vedanta, to remain in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and yet he wants to take permission from the mother like a child. To the surprise of the would-be teacher, Sri Ramakrishna didn't go to his earthly mother, he went to the Divine Mother's temple. And after a few minutes he came back, the face beaming with joy, and he said, "Mother told me that for this purpose I have brought the teacher for you. You have to learn through him the Vedanta." And then Sri Ramakrishna started practicing Vedanta after taking sannyasa. He took sannyasa vows and he practiced Vedanta. And in Vedanta, while teacher was practicing, he taught him what is reality, how to meditate on the formless, absolute aspect of God. And to his surprise, Sri Ramakrishna just reached that state. He had to struggle a little. You read, those who have read the life of Sri Ramakrishna know that it was difficult for him to forego the blissful form of the Divine Mother. Whenever he tried to meditate, Mother would come and could not go beyond that. He said to his teacher, "I can't go beyond the Mother's blissful form." The teacher was very strict. He knew that he can understand. He has that capacity, he could understand. And he brought something sharp and put on his forehead between the eyebrows and said, "Meditate on here." Then he meditated. Mother came again. And Sri Ramakrishna describes poetically, "I used the knowledge as the sword and cut the form of mother into two. That is, through the process of knowledge, he said, form is a limited thing. The ultimate reality is formless. The divine mother, which appears as the form, is in reality the formless, absolute, infinite existence. I understood that. I utilized that knowledge, applied that knowledge, and the mind went to the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when nothing remains in that Samadhi, and that mystical experience of the Absolute, where the body consciousness doesn't remain, where the world vanishes, where ego absolutely goes away. What remains is only that absolute reality. In that state comes Aham Brahmasmi, the self, individuality and the ultimate reality become merged in one. In that state, Sri Ramakrishna went that very night when he had sannyasa. Teacher thought he had to practice. For teacher to attain that state, it took 40 years. And this person, just that very night, he can reach to that state. Even after knowing that he is extraordinary student, he couldn't imagine that much. And Sri Ramakrishna was that in that mystical experience of the absolute reality, the bliss absolute, he was merged. And after that, Sri Ramakrishna practiced how people, Christians, they worship God, how Muslims worship God, or he wanted to know, so much of curiosity by the will of Divine Mother. Holy Mother says, Sri Ramakrishna didn't do this just by calculation that he will have to preach the harmony of all faiths. It was just made by the Divine Presence, the Divine Mother, whom he never left, that her plan it was to produce such a mystic person, such a mystic avatara, that will be a preacher to the whole mankind through his practice, to say all faiths are true. I have practiced all faiths and all lead to that one reality. Reality is one, called variously by various people. Wise call it by various names, but truth is one, said the ancient scriptures of Rig Veda. Sri Ramakrishna proved that again. For that was this importance of this mystic. No other spiritual practitioner, no other avatar or prophet has practiced so many different ways, the different paths of religion. Sri Ramakrishna is unique in that way. And what he said, the God is real. That was Sri Ramakrishna's approach. Mairi bolchi Ishwar achen. I say truly, God is, and God is realizable. God is reality. It is not just a vague interpretation or something figment of the mind of few persons. It is there. Try to understand. If you want to go beyond all problems of life, existential problems of life, realize God. You can go, you have the capacity as a human being to go beyond all problems of life. That was this great mystic's teaching. And after that, he practiced sadhana. And after passing so long years in continuous devotion and spiritual practices and ascending the highest pinnacle of spiritual realization, Sri Ramakrishna developed a habit of dwelling in God-intoxicated state. He could not live for a single moment without the thought of God. God was in his dream. In his awakened state, in his every breath, in his every talk or discussion, in his pain, in his ecstasy. Although he was married in the meantime, he was not, so to say, a family man. He renounced his materialistic worldly life for God. Although he formally took sannyas before his Vedanta sadhana, he never looked like a typical ochre-clad monk. Rather, he looked in appearance like a plain living rustic gentleman. In fact, he remained ever as an innocent divine child, fully dependent on Supreme Being, whom he looked upon as his own real mother. Whatever and whenever he required anything, he insisted childishly from his mother, who fulfilled his demands. Whenever he wished, he got the vision of his mother. He talked with her, cried to her, and always got her responses. Very frequently he remained in the state of trance called Bhava Samadhi, and at one time he remained in that state for 6 months at a stretch. Any ordinary man, if ever succeeds to attain such state, can never return to survive. But Sri Ramakrishna had to survive as he came on earth as a God incarnation with a definite mission for the benefit of mankind. So, in his such condition, he was commanded by Supreme Being to remain in Bhava Mukha. Bhava Mukha is the state, as Swami Tyaganandaji was saying, that state between the divine realization and the worldly perception. You can connect with the divine and you can connect with the world, and that intermediate stage, the threshold, is called Bhava Mukha. That was the command of the Divine Mother Kali. Remain in Bhava Mukha, all drawing from the divine and distributing that to the world. That he could do because he could go from this perceptible world to the divine world. He had that communion going. People used to call him that a person who lived and died many times in his life. That was his person. Whenever he used to go in Samadhi, he was as if dead to the world. And whenever he came down from the Samadhi, he would interact with the people with so much of love, kindness, compassion, and the gift, as Swami Tyaganandaji was saying, gift to all. His very presence was the gift. His very words were the gift. That gift he always distributed. The success of Advaita Vedanta sadhana led Sri Ramakrishna to attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi state, the highest spiritual experience one can perceive when one merges his own self with the Supreme Self. As per Advaita Vedanta, a person attaining such state is a Brahmagyani, to whom the Supreme Self or Brahman is alone real and the rest of world is unreal. As said in the dictum, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Sri Ramakrishna didn't just stop there and kept toiling with his spiritual practices. He realized that Brahman alone is real and omnipresent, and Jagat is its manifestation of its glories and grandeur. Brahman is both the source and the sink of Jagat, that he said as Brahman Nitya Jagat Leela. The cycle of creation, preservation and destruction is the sporting Leela of the Supreme Being, which is like being ferried from Nitya to Leela and from Leela to Nitya. According to Thakur, a person with such realization is called Vijnani. So Sri Ramakrishna said, not only Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, that was said in the scriptures. He brought Brahman Nitya Jagat Leela. This Leela belongs to same Nitya. Leela is the drama, is the theater, is the sport going on of that reality, that one reality, absolute reality. That reality appears as this beautiful world of our sense perception. There is no difference, just we have to bring that divinity when we deal with the world, and then we find that bliss and the purity of divine. Sri Ramakrishna was a rarest kind of mystic. Very frequently and with no effort, he could move to trance state and could talk to God or enjoy the ecstasy. Returning back to normal state, he would discuss God, would sing and dance in the name of God. He never preached or lectured in public gathering, rather taught in a small group of people sitting around him, very lucidly and with parables, and citing examples from everyday life. Going through his biography and gospel, we find his prime advice to mankind was to seek God. Once when Shambhu Charan Malik, a dedicated devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, sought his blessings to spend all his money for good purposes such as building hospitals and dispensaries, making roads and digging wells, etc., Sri Ramakrishna discouraged him by saying, "It will be good if you can do these things in a spirit of detachment, but that is very difficult. Whatever you may do, you must always remember that the aim of this life of yours is the attainment of God and not the building of hospitals and dispensaries. First attain God. And if God commands you to build hospitals and dispensaries and schools, then you do that. Then only you can do without your ego. Otherwise, ego will feel, I built this hospital, see this school, I have built this school. Like that, ego will come and all your devotion will flee. First realize God, first purify your mind, first reduce your ego, and then do good to the world. Then only you can do real good to the world. Otherwise, you will always hanker for your own glory, even in doing service to the world, which will dampen your spirit of devotion. Sri Ramakrishna, a great mystic, is the only avatara whose images are not imagined and sketched, but real photographs taken by the latest camera of that period and by expert photographers. We are so fortunate to live in the world where he lived and moved until just 137 years ago. That is what the great mystic, the great avatara Sri Ramakrishna, and we are in the world very close in the time of the fast. 2000 years Christ was living, 2500 years ago Buddha was living, Krishna was living perhaps 5000 years ago, Brahma was living even before that. Still we feel their presence when we meditate. Sri Ramakrishna is in so proximity to us historically that as if it was yesterday, 137 years just ago, our grandparents' age. And Sri Ramakrishna lived on this earth, thought on this earth, was in divine communion always, the great mystic. We are so fortunate. May that Sri Ramakrishna, which is always with us, bless us to have our love of God and have faith in us that we can realize God and transcend our limitation of our ego and our ignorance and attain the knowledge of the Supreme Self. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Any questions? Yes, here. Yeah.
Swamiji, I have a sister. She takes tuitions for small kids.
This microphone, take close to mouth. Take close.
So am I audible?
Yeah.
So I have a sister. She lives in India in a small town, Chittaranjan. So she takes tuition for small kids, like maybe there is a child who comes in a wheelchair. He's maybe a 5th grade or a 4th grade student. So he was told in his school to write an essay about God is great. And my sister, he came to a help. He said that I don't feel like that with the situation. Like his one side is paralyzed, so he cannot even write with his right hand. He's born like that. Maybe he had polio or something. I don't know. So even his handwriting is not good because he writes with his left hand. He's not a lefty. So, but then this is his question that how can I write? I don't feel that God is great, and even my sister couldn't answer him properly. So how we see so many situations like this in real life. So how to convince them we are good, we can believe God is great, but how to convince those people, and especially little kids, how can we increase their faith in God?
Thank you for the question. It often happens. Here we are all here. None of us are really fit in every way. We have knee pain, we have migraines, we have all the problems in our life. Still we can say God is great. So to understand that God is great, we have to go beyond, even beyond this physical body. Physical body has some limitations are there. In her sister's case, unfortunately, her child is suffering from paralysis. But in all cases, there is something. God is great in the sense God is our soul. and our thoughts. We can reach God in our thoughts, in our mind. That is the greatness of God. And God resides in our heart as our soul, which is perfect. There is no disease in soul. There is no imperfection in the soul. There is no ignorance in the soul. But if you take body and mind, they are all limited, imperfect. That we will have to accept. So tell your sister to tell her child to focus on the great spirit that is inside us. Even we don't know what is the future of your niece or nephew. Student. He or she may be great, doing something great in future. There have been the cases of Helen Keller. You know that she was blind, she was deaf, and what a great intelligent person she was. There have been many cases like that who seemed to be very deformed, had a limitation, but they did so much great work through the power of their intellect by the grace of God. May by the grace of God, may that student do great works. So that will be the glory of God that will manifest. Let us pray to God that may God show that He is great and He is all blissful, and He can bless that child to exhibit His power and glory through him or her. So let us pray for that. Thank you.
The God and the time. So God manifested as time. It's called Kala. So that Kala means the time. We have to maintain time. That's why. But it's a unique way that our Kripamayananda ji, he presented the mystical aspect of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. A great, we really. Without the mystical aspect, without the mystical experiences, belief won't come. Otherwise, how we will believe? That is also there. Then once we went to that is called Kedarnath, I think. So that's the wonderful place, the pilgrimage center. We were coming down and it was raining. Some of the Swamis were there. Then I prayed to Thakur. So we are not having the umbrella, not proper cover. So can you please stop the rain? And if you stop the rain, I will sing your bhajan all through the road. And I started singing. Will you believe? Immediately it stopped. Then after coming some time, but walking on that the hilly road and going on singing is a very troublesome. So in between there was a tea shop. So we stopped over there, took the tea. Then it was Shani, this is all right. I stopped singing and almost forgot that the promise that I made. After some time, again the rain came. The first shower, immediately I remembered, I started singing and stopped. Really, 3 times it happened. Then finally, we reached to the town, and there was our Bharat Seva Sangha, where we were lost. It was very near. So then I thought, let me stop. Now, even if it is raining, I can run. So let me see what happened. And torrential rain came. Though we ran. After long back, I was saying that to one of our Swamiji, Swami Prabhanandaji. He was visiting Cherrapunji. He called me over there, and after some program, and we were sitting, I asked, Swamiji, this happened. So, do you think truly Thakur was listening to my prayer? Then he turned to me and said, still doubting? Yes, truly it happens. So, that mysticism that gives us a faith. And Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, in the Gospel, Kathamrita, page 267, he said, I read it from the Bengali, Ekhane jara jara ashbe, তাদের সকলের সংশয় মিটে যাবে. Whoever will follow the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and accept his ideology will be free from all doubts. Viddante hridaya granthi chiddante sarva samsayaha. All doubts will go away, those who will accept the words of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. It looks very simple, and that's why we sometimes think, oh, how that can be a God. One gentleman came here, that is my office over there, next room, and he came and said, hey, you don't have any God? No. A God, and so many gods, they're there. So, no, they are human being. Okay, of course, I don't know why you have kept the Buddha, you are a Hindu, and why Jesus should be there. Anyway, where is God? I told, what do you mean by God? No, Kali, the 4 hands, Durga, the 10 hands, at least Krishna, who lifted the hill, you people don't have anything over here. I told, if you accept Krishna just because he lifted the hill, we have to worship all the big machineries. Now they can lift. These are very peculiar ideas. The God means love. God means unselfishness. That manifested through Sri Ramakrishna. Though he looks very simple, but he said, whoever will come over here accepting Sri Ramakrishna's ideology. Then he taught another from the Kathamrita. He said, Leela dhore dhore nitya jete hai. Nitya means eternal. Leela, as our Tyagananda Ji Maharaj was telling, that all the divine activities, that is called Leela. And that is the gift. We can remember that Sri Ramakrishna did this, Sri Ramakrishna did that, and that slowly, slowly you can reach to the ultimate. Sri Ramakrishna is everything. Parabrahma, Parashakti, Jagad Rupa, Ramakrishna. He is that supreme. Now friends, the Sri Ramakrishna, and lastly, I will read from here, the jara jara ekhane ashe, tader samskar ache. That also Swami Tyagananda Ji mentioned. We come, we pray, and then we make an environment. Similarly, lives after lives, we have prayed to God, but we could not reach to God. We could not get the liberation from the bondages of desire. Now, we have a very good condition of mind that we can come and accept this Sri Ramakrishna. No other things, no miracles, very simple looking. But those who can understand the truth, Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning, they had in the past life, they did all good things. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, he is, through songs, he is to teach us. For the Vishwasha, that means the faith. Faith is the first thing. As I was telling the Calcutta High Court judge, that is the first faith. We have to believe. After seeing the life of Sri Ramakrishna, life of Jesus, yes, something must be there. Otherwise, why people should accept them? So many kings were there. No one remembers them. Only the students of history, they only read about them. But Jesus is worshipped by the millions and millions of people. That is the greatest religion now, the most largest, the big. Why? That person, he was born in a very poor condition and he was not having that proper education, nothing. But he has that truth. That's why still people are remembering him. Bishash. Sri Ramakrishna is singing. Ami Durga 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 bole ma jodi mori akhere e dine na taro kemone dekha jabe go Shankari. If I pass away repeating the Durga's name, that is the faith. When I am dying, if I can utter the name of Durga, you are bound to come and rescue me. And if you don't do that, the people will say, oh, Mother Durga has no power. So you have to save your reputation. Akhire edine nataro kamone. That is called forceful bhakti. I have taken the name of God. He said that. What? I have uttered the holy name. How can I be in bondage? So Sri Ramakrishna, through songs, he is teaching us. And he is teaching Where I will search God? He is singing again. Apunate mon, apuni theko, jiunaku karu ghare. Dwell, O mind, within yourself. Enter no other house. As Tyagananda Ji Maharaj was telling, that you read and you decide, you think, come up with some idea, that is, will be yours. So these are the things that I like to follow. Apunate mon apni theko. You need not to go and having someone, the young boy came over here and he said, I tried for 3 years in that Buddhism, and then 1 or 2 years I passed with that Muslims. Now I like to try Vedanta. I told there are books, you try, no problem. But the thing, if you go on trying, then when you will reach? So take one. So that is the problem. We go here, go there, but we are not sincere. Just like the research scholars, reading many books and coming out with some, that won't give you the help. Apunate mon apuni theko, jiunaku karo ghare. Param dhan ei parushmani, ja chabi tai dite pare. The God is the true philosopher's stone who answers everything. And then he is teaching us, the Sri Ramakrishna, that you have to imagine the God, and God is having the excellent quality. He is singing the song of Ram Prasad. Mayer bhav ki bheve paran galo. I am thinking that what is actually true bhava, the true identity, the true teachings of the mother. Who is she actually? She is having 4 hands, sometimes they no, it's only 2 hands, and she is sometimes doing this, sometimes doing that. Who is this mother? Jar name hare kal, pade mohakal, tar keno kalo roop holo. And why she is dark? When the Shiva, the Lord Shiva, he is meditating on her and wants to have her on his chest. And why she is black? So I am wondering. Then the last, I am not skipping, and he said, Orup je dekheche, shei mojeche, onno roop lage na bhalo, bhav ki bhebe paran galo. Whoever has realized that particular form of the mother, and now they don't like to see anything else. It is so wonderful. Swami Vivekananda, when he was a young boy and he had a wonderful voice, a very good singer, he loved singing. He was invited in one of the houses in Calcutta, and there he saw Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, but he never paid any that way attention to Sri Ramakrishna. They invited the young boy to sing over there. And Sri Ramakrishna, he looked at the boy, and he was fond of the music. And you know what he sang, this young Vivekananda? He sang the beautiful song, Mon chalo nijo niketane. Oh my mind, let us go back to our own abode. So what is religion? Religion to understand who am I. That's all and nothing else. Am I this body? No, that cannot be, because body is changing. When I am placing my hand over this, body has already changed. And I was a small kid, then grown up, all moment, every moment it is changing. To whom I am telling that this is me? No. Mind changing. Thoughts are also changing. Intellect's changing. So if all these things are changing, what is this I? That is called God, the simple term, or the Brahman, or the Atman, Paramatman. This is the different terminologies. The moment we can realize that, we are free from all suffering. Purpose of religion to give us the ananda, the joy, and we are free from all suffering. Because I know who am I. So this Sri Ramakrishna, he is teaching, and when he sang, Mon chalo nijo niketane, shamsar videshe, videshir beshe, brahmo kano akarane. So let's sing?
Yes.
One line. Actually, I am getting tempted to sing that. Mon chalo nijo niketane, shamsar videshe, videshir beshe, brahmo kano akarane, mon chalo nijo niketane. Like this. But you know, Sri Ramakrishna taught a song to Swami Vivekananda. Why? Vivekananda never accepted Goddess Kali. Because he was thinking that all consciousness, this, that. But slowly, it so happened that the Vivekananda, in those days, he was graduate. Even then, he was not getting any job. Sometimes, jokingly, I say that the one son who was English educated but not getting job. But his father was not that way educated. One day, ultimately, the mother told, why don't you take your son to your boss, introduce him and request him for a job. The father took the son to his boss, and father said, sir, I son, give job. And the boss said, okay, ask him to join from tomorrow. Son came out and said, father, this is not I son, it is my son. Okay, I son and my son. But you got the job is not. So, in those days, it was like that, the situation, and Vivekananda was highly educated, he was not getting the job. Why? Sri Ramakrishna, sitting in Dakshineshwar, going on praying to Mother. Mother, don't bind him. He has a purpose. Ultimately, the young boy came, the last effort to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna said, you have to go to Mother and pray to her. And you know that unique story. Thrice he went, thrice he prayed, not for the job, not for the money, but for the liberation. And he saw the Mother, not the statue, but the real Mother. And it was so wonderful. He came to Sri Ramakrishna, he was full of joy. To express that joy, he asked Sri Ramakrishna, can you please teach me a song? And Sri Ramakrishna taught him that song. And whole night, this young boy, he was singing and running because to express that great joy. And that, the song, no, I am not going to sing. That song, it taught that the Mother, though it is in that particular Mother form, but it is not real. She is having the form and without form. She is everywhere in the sky, and that is true Vedanta in that. So this is the uniqueness of Hinduism. Through duality, they take our mind to non-duality. We worship cows, we worship trees, we worship rivers, we worship stones. But the same Hindus say, Aham Brahmasmi. No one can say that. So the small thing, the step by step, they will prepare their mind. That is called transformation. This transformation, the small little person slowly becoming, and one day he said, I am that. So friends, now we will conclude, but this time all of us will sing. And you sing, please join with me together in Ramakrishna Sharanam, and we conclude this week-long the spiritual fest. And the feast will be there below waiting for you. Please sing with me. We won't repeat, quickly we'll complete that. Very simple. Anyone can do that. Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Prabhu Kripahi, Jai Jai Ram Krishna, Sharanagatam, Prabhu Sharana, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Namaste Gurave, Namaste Gurave, Namaste Gurave, Namaste Gurave, Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Ram Krishna Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Ram Krishna Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Ram Krishna Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane. We take refuge at the feet of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna Devi ki, Jai Mahamai ki, Jai Swami Ji Maharaj Ji ki, Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om. Om, peace, peace, peace unto all. Thank you, friends. Thank you for coming over here. Thank you, Swamiji, for coming and giving a wonderful talk. And now, please slowly go down. We will be here. You need not to touch the feet. That will take long time. Just greet us and then go down, have the prasad. The Swamis will be here available this afternoon, this evening. So if you like to talk to them personally, then you're welcome. You can come and sit with them. And this evening at 7 o'clock, there will be the prayer, evening prayer. Thank you.